a justice of the South African Constitutional Court has stated that our constitution is the window to the nation's soul. And let's just have a brief look at the soul that the Constitutional Court justices say they've seen in the Constitution when it comes to marriage and the raising of children. As regards marriage, the soul they say they've seen is that marriage can also be between men and men and women and women, and not only between a man and a woman. As regards the provision that has been there for many, many years to protect and to support and to affirm marriage, the measure of adultery being wrongful and being punishable in law, they have found that the soul that they now see through the Constitution no longer sees adultery as wrongful from a lawful point of view. Then as regards having children, they say that, and this was in a one-liner without giving any reasons for this ruling, that the soul says that it's okay to only view unborn children as no more than to quote the Termination of Pregnancy Act, the contents of a woman's uterus. And furthermore, that it's okay to kill an unborn child, providing that's okay for, or that is what the mom wants. This ruling was taken after it, amongst other things, being confronted with the shocking statistic that on a daily basis in South Africa, some 500 unborn children are intentionally killed by doctors, by nurses, at the behest of their mothers. Then, turning to the issue of raising children, the soul they say they've seen in the Constitution is that where loving parents decide that they must use reasonable and moderate chastisement, in other words, spanking, to help in the disciplining and the raising of their children, that such parents should be treated as criminals. And then to top it off, we look at its decision on dacha. I was speaking to a woman that works for us last week, and she has 2 teenage children, and she's trying to raise them in a community where the heroes are the gangsters and the drug lords, and where substance abuse is a massive problem, not least of all alcohol, tuk, and dacha. And she was saying that in a recent conversation with her son, she was totally disempowered and simply didn't know how to respond when talking about the dangers of dacha. When the son said, "Well, Mom, the Constitutional Court said there's nothing wrong with dacha." Now, the justice of the Constitutional Court might say, well, that's not exactly what they said. And one really needs to read the judgment as these other judgments that I've referred to understand what they were saying. But what the justices need to realize is, my brief summaries, is very simply how the people of South Africa make up the soul of South Africa. This is how they see these judgments. Do these judgments reflect the soul of the nation? I cannot disagree more strongly with them. On every single point I've made, on every single judgment referred to, the nation I know, across the spectrum, across the faith communities, quite clearly have a different soul to that seen by the justices of the South African Constitutional Court. Now, these justices no doubt will say, well, that's not their fault. They had no other way out. That's what the Constitution says. And once again, I beg to differ. Every single one of these issues, had they taken off their secular, liberal, Eurocentric glasses, which they had on, whether it be wittingly or unwittingly, when they dealt with each of these issues, they could have come to a totally different conclusion. I think the challenge for the Constitutional Court justices is whether, perhaps without them realizing, they've allowed their minds to be colonized by this Eurocentric, liberal, secular worldview. And perhaps, hopefully, they can take these glasses off and put another pair of glasses on that are more in line with the nation of our soul, and then would come to very different conclusions that will reflect the soul of our nation. Thank you.